everyone, and welcome back to the In the Yard podcast, brought to you by Collin and Braeden Cox. I know last episode we said that we were gonna talk about free agency and the top quarterbacks heading into the 2023 season, but our video got cut a little short, so we separated it into two episodes. So now we're gonna be talking about the top quarterbacks heading into the 2023 season. Should be a pretty brief episode. So yeah, let's get to it. Braeden, how we feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think my list is really solid. When I was first presented with the idea of doing this, I thought it'd be very easy. I'd be like, okay, and I think you'd probably agree with me. You could probably list the first 6, 7 pretty easily in various orders. But then when you get to 8, 9, 10, you're like, ooh. And then you kind of have to make, you kind of have to make those executive decisions, because I look at them and I'm like, wow, 2 years ago, I probably would have had you in the top 5. Now I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I thought. I did leave some honorable mentions on there too, if you wanted to get to that.
Yeah.
So do you want to go from 10 to 1, or do you want 1 to 10?
No, I think we should start 10 and then go to 1.
All right, 10 to 1. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me. So do you want to do it by, you go 10, I go 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, or do you want to do it?
Yeah, that might actually be interesting.
All right.
But I think if we're gonna go back and forth, now that you say that, if we're gonna go back and forth, I feel like we should almost start with number 1 and go down to 10, because I feel like it'll be more interesting at the bottom. Or do you disagree?
Okay. Yeah, no, we could do that. Whatever. I don't think it really matters. I feel like people are gonna be listening to see if their quarterback is in the top 10, so it'll keep them
right
on their toes.
So we'll start at number 1. So let me just write it down so I have it for record.
Obviously you have
you go
have
first.
Trace McSorley at number 1, right?
Yeah. No.
That. All right, it's an
starting quarterback. Hey, listen, if we're going to talk about Trace McSorley for a sec, right? Kyler Murray, right? Is he the guy?
Looking shaky, yeah.
And then it's Colt McCoy, I think, and Trace McSorley. Hey, I think Trace McSorley played that, I think it was the Christmas Day game against Tampa. He didn't play bad.
Was it? I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
I was watching the Dolphins lose to the Packers.
Yeah. That was my Christmas present. Then a week later, I got a not so great Christmas present.
All right.
So we'll just both start with a number 1. I'm pretty sure we both have the same guy, number 1.
Yeah. On a serious note, we'll go to number 1. You got to go with Patrick Mahomes here, right, Bray?
Absolutely. No questions asked.
The guy has won 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowls, and two Super Bowl MVPs, and has been the guy to beat for the past 5 years in the AFC, let alone in the AFC and even in the league for a time span.
And it was interesting, because if you would have asked me this question a month ago, it would have been a much tougher. Mm-hmm. It would have been much tougher for me to answer, because, and I still think he's spectacular and young, and he's gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
I could see the argument there for Joe Burrow, no questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think after what happened last week in the Super Bowl against Philadelphia on a bum ankle, to me, it's there's no questions. You can't really dispute it across the board. I mean, just with his stats up here, nearly 6,000 passing yards, 48 touchdown passes, 12 INTs, 418 rushing yards, 4 touchdown passes, and 6 fumbles. Come on. In a season, arguably, where they were going through a rebuild, and he still put up MVP numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I know some people are using the term rebuild for the Chiefs. I wouldn't call it a rebuild. They still have Patrick Mahomes, a solid defense, Travis Kelce. Isaiah Pacheco had a breakout season his rookie year.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I feel like he's undisputed. If he would have lost if he would have lost in the Super Bowl to Jalen Hurts, maybe a different conversation. Probably still would be number one. Probably would still be number one, but wouldn't be as undisputed as he is now.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Anything else we want to discuss?
No, I think that one's really simple. I mean, to me, it's not really an argument anymore after what just happened. 10 days ago or so. Like, it's just spectacular. Right. There's no comparison. In my opinion, there's no real debate. He's the guy, and he's going to be the guy for the next 10 to 15 years.
All right, I agree. All right, here, Braeden, you can start with your number 2.
Yeah, so my number 2 is actually your guy in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, right?
Great pick.
So, just what his statistics here. He basically threw for 5,200 passing yards, 39 touchdown passes, 4 INTs, 6 rushing touchdowns. Like, he's, in my opinion, easily the second best quarterback in the NFL. I think the past 2 years, he should have been much more in the MVP conversation. He's just a leader. Like, I don't even know how you really explain it. And to me, it all goes back to that rookie season. He tore his ACL against Washington about halfway through the season. Mm-hmm. And that team was just not, like, yeah, they had their guy, right? But that team was just bad. And then the following season, and a lot of people clowned them for it. I don't know if you were one of those people, but then there was a lot of people that were saying they shouldn't go and get Jamar Chase. And I was one of the people, I was like, why would you not get Jamar Chase? Get him a weapon that he's familiar with. And look what happened. You know what I mean? Incredible. Right. Went to the Super Bowl. And then, in the playoffs, hosted Vegas. And then went to Tennessee, who was the number 1 seed. I know they're not as relevant as they are, or not as relevant now as they were then. But then the big thing is they went to Arrowhead, defeated Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and then nearly won a Super Bowl. If it wasn't for, like, a miraculous play by Aaron Donald, they'd probably win that Super Bowl. Right? So,
yeah,
to me, he's number 2. I could see why other people might have him 3, but any less than that, you'd have to make a pretty convincing argument.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like that pick at number 2, Braeden. I also have Joe Burrow as my number 2 quarterback. No bias here. Yeah, I just think, he changed the Bengals franchise around. He gives me, as a Bengals fan, something to look forward to on the weekends. I haven't had that in a while. So, yeah, and he's also 3-0 against Mahomes, and then the AFC Championship game this year, Chiefs finally got the Bengals, So he is still 3-1 against Mahomes. I know it doesn't really mean much since Mahomes has won that Super Bowl now. But yeah, he's 3-1 against Mahomes. I feel like that win in Buffalo against Josh Allen, the Bills, I feel like that put him over the top of Josh Allen.
Easily.
Definitely. So yeah, I just feel like Joe Burrow is just the pick at number 2 here, right behind Mahomes. If maybe different story if some of the calls go the Bengals' way in the AFC Championship game this year, and they make the Super Bowl. But yeah, I think Joe Burrow is a solid 2, bright future with the Bengals, and obviously I'm hoping to see at least 1 ring in his tenure with the Bengals, and hopefully talking contract extensions soon. I see a lot of reports on what the numbers are going to be like, how are they going to keep the receivers, but as long as Joe Burrow is there, I'm confident the Bengals always have a shot at the Super Bowl.
Agreed. So let me just confirm with you. So for this listing, right, this is the top 10 quarterbacks post this season entering,
like, going into 2023. So no Brady. Obviously retired.
Okay, gotcha. 100%. Okay, we're on the same page. All right. So because I went first when we talked about a second pick, I'll let you go first for your number 3 pick here.
Yeah, so my number 3 is Jalen Hurts. I was just very impressed with him in the Super Bowl this year, and I know we talked about a little bit in the last podcast, or in the first episode, where he, we couldn't tell, like, obviously he was balling out, but he wasn't playing the best teams, wasn't playing the best defenses. But yeah, I feel like just the way he played in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs on the biggest stage really he really showed himself. I was impressed with his performance. Counted for 4 touchdowns, 2 receiving, 2 passing touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Led the Eagles to one of their best regular season records they've had. And I feel like the future is very bright for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. If I'm an Eagles fan, I'm confident that he'll win Philadelphia a ring in the next couple of years, maybe 5 years or so. Especially in the NFC, a little bit weaker right now. A little bit weaker of a division, not as top heavy with the quarterbacks. So yeah, I feel like Jalen Hurts is my number 3 ranking quarterback heading into 2023.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. And we're definitely going to have to deviate away here, but I think going into next year, it's very hard to make an argument that Mahomes, Burrow, and Jalen Hurts aren't the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, is the best quarterback in the NFC based off of what he did this year. And I think, honestly, what the most impressive part about what he did this year is his performance in the Super Bowl, despite the loss.
Right.
He balled. And you know what was really impressive to me is he's in his, this was his 3rd year, right?
Yeah, this is year 3.
Yeah, this was his 3rd year, right? Still very young. I know this was Mahomes' 3rd year, so basically Mahomes has twice the time on him, right? But, I look back at that fumble in the Super Bowl where he fumbled the ball and Kansas City returned it. A lot of quarterbacks, in that kind of position could crumble. They could just fall apart. But the fact that was a 3-point game doesn't get talked about enough. Obviously what Mahomes did was magical. Gets hurt at the end of the second quarter and then goes to the locker room and then balls out the second half, not taking anything away from him there, right? Balled out, deserved the MVP, no question. But Jalen Hurts, man, that really shocked me. I picked Philadelphia to win the game, right? But even though they lost, I did not expect Jalen Hurts to play that well.
Right.
He played insanely well. Not only throwing the ball. There was questions about his shoulder. That went right out the window in the first quarter. And then he was running all over the place. I think he set the record for the most rushing yards by a quarterback in a Super Bowl. So, to me, you have to have Mahomes, Burrow, and Jalen Hurts in your top 3. Just purely based off of their performance this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, Jalen Hurts he balled out in the Super Bowl, the biggest stage. It was just very unfortunate that Patrick Mahomes was on the other side in the Super Bowl.
Yep, 100% agree.
All right. So I guess we can move on to number 4 now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could hit me with your number 4.
All right, this might surprise you. I got Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, that's fair.
Because listen, he had, yes, a not great season this year, right? It wasn't a bad season. It was just not what we're used to seeing by Aaron Rodgers, right? Listen, he didn't have Devontae, and I'm not making an excuse or anything, right? But it's really hard for me to believe, and yes, maybe I am a little biased as a Green Bay Packers fan, but it's really hard for me to sit here and be like, he doesn't have it. He won 2 MVPs in the past 3 years. Mm-hmm. That's very hard for me to sit here and be like, he's not a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. If we're having this discussion a year ago, right? We're probably talking about the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL being Mahomes, Brady, and Rodgers. Brady's gone. Rodgers might be gone. We don't know. Are we going to take 1 year where Rodgers is essentially throwing to the practice squad? And listen, I'm not taking anything away from Watson or the other talent on that team, right? But it's really hard for me to believe that after 1 year we can just kind of write Aaron Rodgers. Because a lot of the list, and I've seen lists where people got Justin Fields higher than Aaron Rodgers, and to me, that's insane. That's bonkers. You know what I mean? What I don't know. I just don't get it. So yeah, I don't have his statistics up on the page here, but I got Aaron Rodgers at 4 just because I think he's gonna have a bounce back year regardless of where he plays next year. And quite honestly, I don't think it really even matters. I think he played decent this year. He was not a bad quarterback this year. He was just not spectacular. But who's your 4?
I respect that for you, for Aaron Rodgers. He won MVP in 2021. I feel like, I know you already said this, but I feel like people forget that. But yeah, he's still one of the best throwers the league has ever seen. I don't think his age is catching up to him that much at this point. So yeah, that's a solid. Bit surprising, bit high for me, but I can see where you're going with Rodgers at number 4.
He tomorrow might say I'm retired. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't know. Yeah. Right. So I'm just basing it off the information I have in this very moment. He's 4th for me.
Right. Cool. Number 4 I have Lamar Jackson. It's not. I feel like, what we discussed last episode with the free agency talks and rumors. I don't think it's the talent that's getting in the way of the contract. I think it's his health. With the Ravens, he's won an MVP and an honest MVP in 2019. Hasn't quite gotten to the Super Bowl yet, but just obviously the Ravens offense is built around him, and they are so much better when he's on the field, as we've seen from when he plays this season and from when he doesn't play this season. I should have looked up the record for when he plays and when he doesn't play, but it wasn't, because remember he went down like late through the season. They started losing, and the Bengals took that AFC North spot. So Lamar Jackson is my 4. He just.
I was just gonna say his numbers. I don't have like the season record or anything, but he played in 12 games. He threw for 2,200 yards, 17 touchdown passes, and then 764 rush yards for 3 three rushing touchdowns. So
and he's just such a threat with the option and the run pass option for the Ravens, and he's just, you've seen him play.
I respect that.
Lamar is he's definitely a quarterback you wouldn't want to see in the playoffs.
Agreed. If they're healthy,
he's healthy.
Exactly. If he's healthy, he's
it's the only thing. The only thing that's getting in his way is that health.
Yeah.
So.
I can't even disagree with you there. He's a little bit farther down on my list, but for reasons you kind of cited, but for, pivoted a different way with it.
And if you want to take into account health as a factor with ranking, you could definitely do that too. Okay, so
I guess we'll get into your 5.
Yeah, we'll go into my 5. I took a little bit of a safe route here. I went with Josh Allen. He always has a great regular season. He's won the AFC East 2 years in a row now. It's just a matter of he can't get over that playoff hump, it seems like, and it just seems, Josh Allen's best performing game was a loss against Patrick Mahomes in the divisional round in 2021. But yeah, I feel like he's after that loss to the Bengals, I might be a little biased here. I feel like he has dropped a little bit in the rankings.
I agree.
Especially since the game wasn't even close. Like, everyone was expecting a shootout, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. It's going to be 27-34 type of game. But yeah, the Bills, I don't know if it was the game plan. Could have been Lou Anarumo's defensive schemes. Josh Allen wasn't ready for it. But, I know he hasn't performed. Like, he should at least have. I don't think he's made it past the divisional round yet as a quarterback, has he?
Nope.
Exactly. So I feel like he should have at least have made an AFC. I know Mahomes was in the way. They had to play Mahomes in 2021, and obviously Joe Burrow this year. But if he wants to be talked about with Burrow, Allen, and Hurts. He's got to win a few more playoff games and make a little bit deeper runs come playoffs.
I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, I'm pretty sure they have made it to an AFC Championship game. Didn't they make it? They lost to Kansas City. I think the year that Kansas City played Tampa in the Super Bowl, I think they played the Bills in the championship game that year. I don't know. I'd have to look up the playoff. Going back a few years now.
Okay. When was that? 2020.
Yeah, because that was the year. Yeah, that was the year that Brady left New England and went to Tampa and won it all. I'm pretty sure they played Buffalo in the AFC Championship game. I can't think of another team that it would have been.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Sorry, I was wrong.
But I'm pretty sure the Chiefs spanked them though, didn't they?
Damn, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Chiefs won 38-24.
Yeah, see, it wasn't really a contest. I mean, it was, but they won by 14 points.
Huh.
Yeah. And then the following year was the year that the divisional round was in Arrowhead, and 13 seconds or whatever it was, Mahomes got him down the field.
Right.
But I actually want to pivot, and I don't know how much time we have to here, but I want to talk about that divisional game between Cincinnati and Buffalo, right? Because to me, that game was so bizarre to me. The moment I turned on the television and I saw the snow coming down, I knew it was going to be weird. Because Buffalo, straight up didn't show up. And I know it was kind of weird because I think that was the first game that DeMar Hamlin was in the stadium, right?
I think he was there the previous week against the Dolphins.
Maybe. I don't know. But I remember him being there for the game in Cincinnati.
Right. He was like all disguised because people were making conspiracies that he wasn't actually there.
Yeah. It just kind of surprised me the way that, I'm not taking anything away from Cincinnati. Cincinnati came in with the right game plan and beat him straight up. But I was just really surprised by the Bills' performance. I picked Cincinnati to win that game. But not like that.
Mm-hmm.
They look top to bottom like the better team, right? So I also, at my 5 pick, I also have Josh Allen, right? And you kind of alluded to this, how he kind of dropped in people's rankings. He probably would have been up there. He probably would have been 4, maybe 3 on my list if it wasn't for that game, right? I think the Bills' problem is they're too Josh Allen centric. He has to do everything for them to win. Right? They almost lost to the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson.
Right. I mean, they did score, 30 points? 35?
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. Again, I see your point.
He made... What I mean by ball-centric, he needs to have the ball in hand. I mean, he's going out there and primarily winning the game for them, as it usually is in the NFL. But the problem is he makes those mistakes. Against the Dolphins, he made mistakes, which is why it was a closer game, right? If they were to be a little less Josh Allen-centric, I think they'd find a little bit more success. Just across the board, not taking anything away from him because he's a baller. He's that dude in Buffalo. But it's he does make mistakes. Straight up, everybody does. Some do it less, some do it more. He's one of the guys that, to me, makes many more mistakes than someone like even Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I have him at 5. So I guess I'll get into my number, what are we at here? 6 pick? Yeah, 6. Let me just pull it up here. Yeah. So my 6th pick is going to be Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers. He's straight up a baller. I haven't seen many quarterbacks play with the arm strength and the power he's got. He is a stud, right? His numbers here through 18 games, a little over 5,000 yards, 26 touchdown passes, 10 INTs, 159 rush yards, no rushing touchdowns, and 9 fumbles, right? To me, he probably would have been... See, the top 5 is so tough because you got to have Pat, you got to have Joe, and you got to have Jalen in there, right? But what happened against Jacksonville, I know wasn't really like on him. Like I know that was a mess. But like I don't know, like it's hard for me to look at that game against Jacksonville and not like almost like drop him a little bit. But I still think, he's young. He's only just completed his third year. He's still a stud. He's still got a whole NFL career ahead of him. And I'm excited for it. So I've got him at 6. How about you?
Yeah, I also have Justin Herbert at 6. He did have a little bit. Finally made the playoffs. This is his third year because he was in the same class as Burrow. So he has did finally make the playoffs this year. Obviously, everyone thought they were going to pull out the win when they were up 28. What was it, 27-0?
Something like that. I think they were up 27 or something.
Yeah. But unfortunately, can you say it's partially on Justin Herbert? Yeah. But it's also, I feel like obviously you don't want to blame.
It's big coaching. It's a huge coaching issue.
Defense.
It's a huge coaching issue.
But with that being said, I don't think Tom Brady lets that happen.
I agree. I don't think there's many quarterbacks in the NFL that let that happen.
Could blame the coaching. Brandon Staley is still there. Will he be still there heading into the preseason? We'll see.
Sounds like
as
it.
A head coach.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, sounds like it. So, I guess.
But then they do have Kellen Moore. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. They did bring in Kellen Moore for OC. So, who knows? But yeah, I agree with you that, you kind of, it's hard because, you are the quarterback, you're kind of the face of the team. It's hard to not put some blame on him. But a huge factor for me, I just go back a week prior to that game against, I believe it was Denver. You might have to correct me on that. When Mike Williams fractured something in his back, I'm pretty sure. He had no business being in that game. They couldn't improve their standings at that point. So I think if he's in that game, we're probably having a different discussion about it. They may have still lost, but that was a huge blow, and it could have been completely avoided. So, right now, I can't really put him ahead of definitely Mahomes, Burrow, or Hurts.
Yeah, I was gonna say I say it goes Mahomes, Burrow, Hurts, and then Lamar, Allen, Herbert. There's that little drop off between the top 3 and the next 3 there.
Sure.
So.
All right. So 7th pick. You going now or am I going? I think you're going.
I'll start us off. I got right behind Justin Herbert, the man who defeated him in that AFC wildcard game, Trevor Lawrence. I feel like Trevor Lawrence had a breakout year. As we're approaching only 10 minutes on our meeting or on our call. But yeah, I feel like Trevor Lawrence really had a breakout year this season. We brought Jacksonville to their turn their franchise around a little bit, kind of the Joe Burrow way. And he had that. Obviously, it's not just on the Chargers for blowing the game. It's also got to give credit to Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars for fighting back in that one. And I think we really saw who Trevor Lawrence is as a leader and as a quarterback, and not only in that first wild card game, but also throughout the whole season. He had that. Who did they beat in the last weekend of the series? Was it the Raiders?
Tennessee. The last weekend of the season?
Yeah.
It was Tennessee. It was on Saturday night.
Their playoff started then, like that week, because they had, I think it was winning in.
Yeah.
So yeah, he won that game and then goes to, the AFC wildcard game and wins that one as well.
Yeah, I agree. I like everything you said about Trevor Lawrence. I actually have him at 8, but my 7th pick is where I have Lamar Jackson, and I can talk a little bit about that. The reason why I have Lamar there, and you alluded to it, is the injuries, right? He would easily be a top 5 quarterback on this list, I think, on our on everybody's list. But those injuries are a concern, right? Because to me, it's like complete a season, and on top of it, when he has made the playoffs, I don't think he's ever made it past the wild card round. I know he lost to the Chargers once. And he also lost to Tennessee.
Lamar.
I think he's 0-2. Yeah, I think
he's
0-2.
never. I don't think he's made a championship.
I don't think he's ever even made it past the wild card because I'm pretty sure he's 0-2 in the playoffs. He lost to the Chargers and he lost to Tennessee.
Look it up real quick.
You might have to check me there, but I'm like 95% sure that he's 0-2 in the playoffs. Lost to Los Angeles at home. That was the year that Los Angeles kind of came out of nowhere and it was really good, and then they went to Baltimore, beat Baltimore, and then they went to New England, against Brady, and Tom Brady washed them. I'm pretty sure. Right.
So I see here it goes. Lamar Jackson has a 1-3 record in the playoffs with the Ravens, having led them to the three postseasons. His one win is against the Tennessee Titans in January 2021.
Oh, he did win that game, and he lost to Buffalo.
Okay.
That's what it was. You're right.
Was that the one where all the Ravens players were stomping on the logo?
Yes, that's
gotcha.
You're absolutely right.
I can't remember which way it was. I can't remember if it was the Titans doing that. The Ravens against the Titans. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure the way it went was he lost.
So, and then
he lost to the Chargers. Then
they
lost to the Chargers, and then the following season, they went to Tennessee, beat Tennessee, and then they went to Buffalo, and then I'm pretty sure Lamar got concussed in that game or something like that.
Yeah. You have a lot better memory when it comes to games like that than I do, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Lamar. Obviously, great talent. Injuries always concern.
Injuries concern me, but if he can come out next year and have no injuries, play well, play like he was an MVP, he doesn't even need to win MVP. If he can take him to the divisional, maybe even the championship round, regardless of who he's playing for, he's got the talent to do it, in my opinion.
Right.
And then, like I said, Trevor Lawrence, basically just reiterating everything you said.
Right.
Definitely talented player, definitely a leader in the locker room. Showed it against the Chargers in that comeback game, and then even went to Kansas City and,
put up a fight. Yeah,
put up a fight. So, that's my 8 is Trevor Lawrence.
All right, run a little short on time here, so let's get right into. At 8, I have Matt Stafford. Obviously, the won last year's Super Bowl. So you can't take that away from him. He's always had the talent, even when he was in Detroit. But goes to Los Angeles. Finally has receivers around him. Finally has an offensive line, and he gets it done. He gets the job done after the Rams go all in on him. But yeah, obviously a little bit slow start to this season, even before the injury. Wasn't doing great. I think they were I want to say they're 4-9, 4-7 around there before his injury. And that comes.
He was it seemed like he was dealing with it though. He was kind of playing through it. It seemed like.
Yeah.
So
maybe could also be maybe it was even a lingering injury before he was officially rolled out. But yeah, has the talent. I know he's approaching 34, 35.
He won the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah, won the Super Bowl last year. Can't take that away from him.
Yeah. So give me your 9.
My number 9 is. I feel like, the 9-10 was the hardest part about this, but I went with Dak Prescott at number 9. Interesting choice. I do feel like he has the talent. He did have a breakthrough season this year with the Cowboys. Not breakthrough, but won the first playoff game in a while. I think the play calling, as our friend Andrew says, he wants to get rid of McCarthy. So I trust in his opinion. I think maybe McCarthy is the thing holding Dak Prescott back. And he went into Tampa this year and absolutely rolled them after, even though they were the favorites, but he did show that he could play. And then who they played the Niners the next round, right?
Yeah.
I just couldn't get anything going against that solid Niners defense. But no one really could except for Jalen Hurts.
Fair.
So you can't. I know. I wanted to go one more NFC, and I feel like Dak is going to. I feel like he's gonna. I'm not saying he's gonna lead the Cowboys to the Super Bowl, but maybe make a little bit deeper of a run in the next coming years.
Yeah, that's a pretty shocking pick for me. That you picked Dak Prescott there. But I
I don't
respect.
know. I just couldn't pick. I couldn't pick anyone above him.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So I have at 9. I have Stafford for basically every reason. I'm not gonna just repeat exactly what you said, but basically everything you said about Stafford is like, I think all the quarterbacks on this list that I have ahead of him are better than him. But he won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, less than two
Right.
seasons ago. So I have to put him at 9. And then my 10, because we are running low on time here, and I'm really curious to see who your 10 is here now. I have Tua at 10.
Okay.
I have Tua at 10 because I
Gotcha.
think he has top 5 talent in this league. Right?
Right.
Same thing with Lamar. But those concussions, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
Very, very weird situation. Very concerning situation from Miami. And that's why I think I wouldn't be shocked if they moved on. But, like, they're definitely not. They're definitely not going to move on. But, like, would I be, like, jaw dropped if they did? No, because I can totally understand it. Or if tomorrow Tua walked away, like, I would be probably a little surprised, but I definitely wouldn't be, like, completely shocked. So now I'm going to leave it to you.
I think the Dolphins are going to roll with Tua. He was having a top 5 MVP season until, that first concussion against the Bengals.
Yep.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I do think they're going to roll with him. Mike McDaniels and Tua, I think they're going to roll with them. Run short on time. So my number 10 is your boy, Aaron Rodgers. Again, won MVP 2020 and 2021. Cannot take that away from him. And like you said previously, it's not that he had a bad year. He just didn't have an Aaron Rodgers-esque year. That also could be with all the drama that he brings. Maybe he wanted out of there, and that's why he wasn't playing as well. How he is with the media. But yeah, he has the talent. Obviously, definitely top 10 talent in the league. I feel like him and Green Bay just need to part ways. So we'll see, and we'll see if they even do part ways. We'll see, but that's what it's making it seem like at this point. So I got Aaron Rodgers at 10 for the same reasons that you had him high. He's one of the best talents, but this might not be there mentally anymore. So, or maybe he was just over the Packers organization. That's also could be it.
Fair. Absolutely fair. I was a little concerned there that he wasn't going to make your list. As soon as you said Stafford at 8, I was like, okay. And then you said Dak at 9, and I was like, I don't know about that. So probably Dak is probably, if I had to disagree with one pick, I don't think Dak is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. But that's just my opinion. We could do a whole video if we want to just talk about the Cowboys. And maybe that's when we can introduce our first guest, because we can definitely get a Cowboy fan or two on here to talk about the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, so honorable mentions. We'll make this real quick. I have Tua as my first guy, not in the top 10. He like I said before, was having an MVP season until he was dealing with the concussions, and it probably had a big effect on him. Just trying to get back into the mental aspect of the game, let alone physical. I have Tua as my one honorable mention. Jared Goff as my second one. He has led a team to the Super Bowl. So you can't take that away from him. And I do think him and the Lions, I think they're going to be a very good team next year. They're really young. Dan Campbell, I thought, was doing a really good job. And they had that really slow start, but were able to turn things around in the middle of the season. So I have high hopes for the Lions. I think I said this in episode 1. I think they're going to be a good team in the next coming years. And then my 100%. last honorable mention was Kirk Cousins. Not obviously not top 10, but he's kind of there. He had a great season with the Vikings. I know he, every game they were 8-0 one possession games or whatever, but that still has something to do with the quarterback play of Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. And even though they lost in that first round against Daniel Jones and the Giants, I feel like he's still a top 10 talent. If he were to show up during a primetime / playoff game, the Vikings would be in good shape.
Fair. 100%. So I've got 3 as well. And one of them is really a wild card for me. One of them I think so much potential. But I'm not 100% sold. So I have Jared Goff as well for the same exact reasons. He led a team to the Super Bowl less than 5 years ago. And they definitely have something special going on in Detroit. I hate that as a Packers fan, but they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the coming years. It's a little early for me to say, hey, next year, like, they're a preliminary Super Bowl contender. But if they're in the divisional round, it wouldn't surprise me. I have Geno Smith.
Okay.
Balled
I think
out.
I had him in my top 5 honorable mentions, but I did top 3.
Okay, yeah. So Geno Smith completely balled out. I think he was probably the biggest and probably the best surprise this year. I think everybody was kind of happy to see Geno Smith. And I think what's especially special and cool about that situation is they went and they traded Russ to Denver, right? And everybody basically wrote Seattle off. They're going to be a bottom easily. I think pretty much everyone would say that they were going to be like a bottom 10, maybe even bottom 5 team in the NFL. And they made the playoffs with Geno Smith.
Right.
With Geno Smith that was basically written off. He had stinks with the...
Can't take that away from him. Like, I think we said in episode 2 that I think you see him with the Seahawks. I think they're a solid fit for him and have a decent amount of success. I don't think I'll have a Super Bowl run, but, he'll be able to get the job done for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he had stinks with the Jets, the Giants, the Chargers. He might have even been on another team in there. But I think he's kind of found a home in Seattle. And I'm happy for him. I think it's a very cool story. And then I think my last one might surprise you a lot. I have Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
Because I think he's going to be the guy in Pittsburgh. I think he's got a lot to work on, right? But this year there was I forget. I think they were playing Baltimore. It was a primetime game. It may have been like a Thursday, but I'm pretty sure it was a Sunday night game. But he had a couple throws in there that I was like, wow. I was like, dude, this guy's a rookie. And he was like the backup. I'm pretty sure, right? Because wasn't it Trubisky and then Kenny? Or was he the third string?
Kenny was the second behind Trubisky to start the season.
And then it was Rudolph or something like that. Yeah, but I mean, regardless, like, he didn't have a great season. Like, I think he threw more interceptions than touchdowns. I think he was like 7 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Right. So he didn't like have a great season. But like the flashes we got of him when he was good, he was really good.
Okay.
That might come back to bite me. I really thought about throwing Derek Carr in there, but just the whole season with the Raiders, it just wasn't that good all around. And to me, it was like, like, I look at a team like Pittsburgh and I'm like, okay, like, there's clearly direction here. Like, Kenny, you build the team around Kenny. Carr is like, get me out of here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
my
honorable mentions: Geno, Jared Goff, and Kenny Pickett.
Fair. Only thing I disagree with you completely on during this whole segment is Kenny Pickett. Could be the biased Bengals fan in me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not saying he's gonna be bad. I just don't think you put him above Justin Fields quite yet, even. But yeah, we'll.
Maybe that's the bias in me as a Packers fan,
debate.
but I'd probably go with Kenny Pickett over Justin
Exactly.
Fields.
That's what it is. It's the biased fan side of us.
Yeah.
Biased fan side of us getting in the way a little bit here.
But I think our list pretty much across the board were, all in all, pretty similar. Probably the biggest, difference was I had Aaron Rodgers 4 and you had him 10. Like, I had him as a top 5. You had him at 10.
I understand that he was MVP last year and the year before. And wasn't he MVP like 10 years ago? Does he have 3 MVPs or 2? He has 4?
4.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, he's got to be in the top 10. Come on. It's like not putting Tom Brady in the top 10.
I don't think you could put him. Well, I did put him in the top 10.
Yeah, but like, I'm not saying you did any wrong, but it'd be like not putting Brady in the top 10.
Yeah,
Even though Brady didn't have a good season.
Their legacy is more
Yeah.
has more to say than their actual talent. Now I understand.
I think probably my biggest disagreement with your list is Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
I already said that, right? I don't know. I think Dak says all the right things. I just don't think he's the guy.
What if I would have put Rodgers 9 and Dak 10?
Well, I don't want you. No, listen. I'm not asking you to change your list. I'm just saying. I'm looking at your list. I'm just looking at your list, and I'm saying, Dak Prescott ahead of Aaron Rodgers is probably the biggest surprise for me on there. But I respect it. Like, I understand. I totally get your opinion there. And like,
well, I'm still going with top 10 quarterbacks now. Dak Prescott won a playoff game this season. Aaron Rodgers missed the playoffs completely.
Sure, absolutely. I guess I can't really disagree with you there. That's just facts.
That was my thought process, or it.
Fair.
But I could see yours. I don't know. I just, like I said, we could take different factors into why this guy is top 5 or not top 5. Like with Lamar injury, it's the same concept. They're just different factors as to what goes into your top 10 list.
Absolutely.
And it makes for a good podcast, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else, Brandon, with your?
No, that's all I got. This was fun. It was fun seeing where we agree and where we disagree. We agree a lot, but which is good. We had a few disagreements in there, which is good. But yeah, no, I'm settled. This is cool.
Word. All right, everyone. Again, thank you for listening, as always. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoyed the debate. Those were our top quarterbacks heading into the 2023 season. Anything else, Braeden?
No, that's all I got. This was awesome.
All right. Again, thank you everyone for listening. In the Yard Podcast, brought to you by Collin and Braeden. And thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Thank you.